artists, welcome to another Young Artists Club. This week we are going to take a look at the work of an impressionist painter from Victorian times. She was French and her name was Berthe Morisot, and she was a contemporary of Claude Monet. I bet you've heard of him. Claude Monet was also an impressionist painter, but Berthe Morisot worked at the same time as him, not as famous as him, but her work is just as beautiful, and she used very similar techniques, creating these beautiful impressionistic paintings. So you might already know what an impressionist painting looks like. In class we were talking about what an impressionist painting looks like. Some of you had even been to see some of Monet's work, which is amazing, in France. And one of the young artists said that when you go close, and I thought this was a really good way of describing it, when you go close to an impressionist painting, you can see how quickly the artist worked, because you can see all of the paint strokes and the looseness of it all, and you can see all these colours, and it looks kind of really messy and it doesn't sort of make any sense. But then as you go back and look at it from a distance, you start to see the scene that they were trying to paint. So they often painted scenes outside, and they would paint outside looking at the scene. So the painting was created quickly there, actually at the place that the painting is showing, and it gives an impression of the scene. So there's not great detail, there's not great accuracy, but you get a wonderful feeling that you're there because of all the light and the colours and the sort of way that they are very clever at creating distance through different size brushstrokes. It's great fun, it's quite easy to do, but today we're not actually going to use paint to do it. We're going to make an impressionist painting using some other materials. Berthe Morisot loved to paint outdoors. She would often paint at the seaside, and she has these lovely beach scenes which I'll show you. She also liked to paint inside, and she would paint often characters in her home or friends in beautiful salons, in beautiful rooms with beautiful flowers and drapes and furniture. Very gorgeous. But what we're going to do today is paint, or rather create a picture from another place that she painted, and that was in the garden. To make some garden scenes in the style of Berthe Morisot. Let me show you what you need. Some of you will have received a pack from me containing some of the materials you need for this. If not, I hope you can gather things together that will give the same kind of effect. So the first thing you need is a piece of paper to work on, and in your pack I gave you a pink, sorry that's got some scribbles on it, a pink piece of paper. I like pink under greens, so you're going to need a pink piece of paper. You're also going to need a glue stick. I hope there's enough glue left in the pack that I gave you. If not, you can use PVA. Any glue that you have at home will be fine, because what we're going to do is we're going to use, instead of oil paint, we're going to use tissue paper. And I'm going to show you how to do tearing and things like that. So I gave you in your pack some shades of green and some brown, and I also gave you some little squares of tissue paper. But any tissue paper that you have, and if you've got any tissue paper from any packaging, you can use that. Even if you've just got like white tissue paper for packaging, we can actually add colour to it later. So any kind of tissue paper is a really good idea. So, oh, and just have some scissors handy, just in case. We're really going to be tearing the paper, but sometimes these edges get a little bit tatty, so you just want to use your scissors there. I think that's everything. Just decide which way round you want your paper. It can be portrait or landscape, depending on how you want your garden to look. Then take your glue, and to start with, apply the glue to the base paper rather than the tissue paper. I'm going to start with some sky because there's a little patch of sky that I want to include. It's not going to go the whole way across, but just a little patch. So glue the base paper and add your tissue paper. Then I'm going to use large patches of greens and browns to make a kind of background feeling to the garden. When you're adding the background colour, anywhere that they meet, try and kind of rough up the edges by tearing so that you've got jaggedy edges where they meet each other, so that it looks quite sort of organic and plant-like. Tissue paper does want to tear one way and not another, so you should be able to tear off large strips at a time, like I'm doing with this brown here. I'm now making a kind of impression of a fence post, and I've glued those all on, and then just trim off any bits that are sort of hanging off the edge. Now I'm making a pile of tissue paper, shades of green and brown, tearing the paper up into random sizes to represent the leaves and the trees and the stems and the plants. It's all quite messy, all quite fast, great fun tearing those up. Now you can stick things on. Take individual pieces of tissue paper, fold them up, wrap them round, make them look vaguely leaf-like, tree-like, leaf-like, stalk-like, and just add them on. You can see I've added quite a few here. Once you've done that, you can start to add your flowers. So you can see I'm adding flowers that are red. And for your flowers, you can glue the actual flower bit of tissue paper, hold it to the glue stick, like I'm doing there, and then press it down. But do leave the flowers till the end. Is dry, you can see that it's quite sort of textured, and if you just used white tissue paper, you're going to have to add some colour. So if you've got any kind of paint, you could then add, just with a paintbrush and your colours, you could add on top of the tissue paper the colours that you want. And you've already got the sort of texture of all the different things, and you know what's what, so you're just adding the colour. It's going to look quite messy, but remember, we're trying to make an impression of the garden. We're not trying to make an accurate, detailed, plant by plant portrayal of the garden. Does that make sense? So what I actually did with this one, which is really good fun, is to just get a paintbrush. This is quite a big paintbrush, but any paintbrush you can find, and a little bit of water, and it's really nice to go over your painting and just dab on water. You can make it quite wet, and what you'll notice is that the tissue paper will kind of collapse a little bit, and some of the colours will start to sort of bleed out to the other tissue paper, but it will become a little bit more like a painting really. And just doing these sort of quick strokes with water on top, you're getting the bigger bits. So like some of my flowers here were quite kind of 3D and bulky, which is fine, but if you flatten them with the water, the glue goes gloopy again and sets them and just makes it all a little bit more like a painting than a tissue paper collage. But anyway, I hope you can see it's a garden with the fence and it's quite far away, and then as I bring it closer you can see that it's quite messy. Well, it's very messy, but that's the kind of detail that you want. And just remember, all the sort of tops need to be quite messy and ripped there. So there we go. So have a go at making an impressionist picture using tissue paper and glue and water. Let's create some beautiful gardens. Do share your pictures with me. You can share them on the Facebook page of Young Artists, or you can do it through the group email if you're a young artist that comes to the club. And good luck. Enjoy the art of Berthe Morisot. Let me know how you get on. Keep safe, keep well, and keep creating. Bye.